is that we shouldn't feel like it's selfish to take care of ourselves too. The poker and fishing, I do this for the kids, people. All right? I do this to keep myself happy. And you know what? It's not selfish of me to take those breaks when I need them. Right? I want to encourage people to take on poker. Right? Probably not the most responsible thing to do. You guys are young, you don't have too much money. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have put that up there. But there are so many other things that you guys can do, right? So many hobbies, so many different things that you can volunteer for as our, we'll give them a round of applause, the NSW, MSc coordinators for the day. Go out there and do those things. Download Meetup on your phone if you don't have friends. And go out there and meet people doing some awesome things in other spaces. Expand your horizons. Think outside the box. And now in this second half of this talk, I'm going to be telling you guys about growth hacking, marketing, startups, things like that. Completely different to exactly what we were just talking about, right? But this is something that can expand your horizons. And it's not just, applicable to those of you who are go-getters, who are volunteering your time, going and doing things for student societies or charities, things outside the box. It'll also help you in the future, right? If you want to, in the future, raise some public awareness, get some funding for a clinical trial, there's a political will behind an illness or something like that. If you knew how to market yourself, how to growth hack, how to get to PR and get your message out there to journalists, you'll be able to do that. When you get out there, start running your own practices, you'll have a little bit of an edge because of this, because you're now thinking from the perspective of people who are coming to you. And it'll probably make you better practitioners as well if you always keep taking a step back and looking at things from someone else's perspective. And plus, it's fun and it's interesting too. So, let's talk about growth hacking in terms of PR. So that's public relations, talking to media. So I saw this organization a couple of weeks ago trying to do something special. Now you guys may have heard about Dr. Preeti Reddy. She was murdered in cold blood by a man who just couldn't take being told that she didn't want to see him anymore. She was stuffed in a suitcase, left to die. The man went ahead and drove himself into a truck and killed himself and really seriously injured the truck driver too. And I saw people in my friends list calling out as she was missing. I joined that group. I wanted to go to that event, but then I saw that there was this opportunity. They were holding a vigil in honor of her, and I was like, I needed to help. I had some skills. I knew from my business how to get this out there to media, how to sell this and to make this big so that they could accomplish what they wanted to. Because this group of doctors, they weren't just helping people in these really, really horrible scenarios. I read the stories of the things that women go through every day just to feel safe in their own homes, and I was like, I needed to do something about it. I needed to help this organization out. So I made it happen, right? I just finished a thesis, I had time on my hands, and I was like, let's do this. Found out about this on Friday. The vigil was happening on Saturday, so keep this in mind. This all happened in one day. So, what did I do first? How do you get the media's attention? So I had a small email list from my startup thing. It wasn't really, in the domestic violence space. It was like all startup journalists, business, tech bloggers, all that kind of stuff. But they had a press release that they made and that they used to talk about the issue. So I got that press release and I pitched it to entice their interest. So how do you get journalists on board, right? You got to take a step back and think about things from the journalist perspective. First off, journalists, they're people. They're lazy, right? They're not like us doctors who are complete nerds. They won't go out, they don't know how to actually go through papers and research things. So you've got to put it there for them. You've got to make your pitch concise. You've got to make it really, really compelling. And how you do that is you also got to think about what makes them tick, right? And journalists, they want to write something newsworthy. They want to get shares. They want to get promoted in their jobs. They want to make a buzz happen around whatever they're talking about. So I talked about the issue. I reminded them that it was a part of a major news cycle, right? Because that was something that was going on national news. I used every single little thing that we had on our side. So we had young Australian finalist of the year, Tharung Chawla, who was also advocacy for domestic violence. I knew him personally, and he didn't directly support the actual vigil, but we knew that he supported the movement and what we were doing, so we used that in our pitch. We also talked about something that was currently going on. So ScoMo, Prime Minister Scott Morrison, he recently announced this $10 million plan to help domestic violence out. And so we put a little bit of that in there as well, because that was another thing that was going on in the news. And then we told them about all the details about this. And because we were doing it in multiple cities around Australia, we also pitched this as a national vigil. Because then that's something big. That's something that gets people's brains going. That's something that gets journalists going, hey, I need to talk about this, otherwise my colleague will and he'll get my job, right? We also talked to them about some news features that we'd already gotten on board. How we did that, this is actually the second pitch that we did. We actually got Channel 9, SBS, and a few others before this, and we re-emailed people out after that. But I'll tell you how I did that later. I'm talking about press releases now, so I'll focus on this. So a good press release, it should be concise, should capture their attention. The email that I just did, that's a pitch. You want to make it even shorter. You want to get your points across. But in here, in this, you want to be emotive. You want to use emotion wherever you can. You want to convey information about what the organization is, and you want media to talk about it. So right now, this is the first pitch that I'd gotten, that I'd edited up a little bit. As you can see, there's not enough stats in there. There's not enough figures. There's not enough stuff to really entice people. It is emotive. It is really, really damn emotive for people who know the condition and who know the people writing it. But to a journalist who's seen hundreds of these and who sees hundreds of these, you need to make yours stand out. So what I did after this was I added stats and figures. I showed how domestic violence is a gendered issue, that women face it more. I entered all those things in. And then I also made it urgent as well by talking about all the various things that happen right now. So there's 10 women who die to this just by that point in March. Around almost 100 women die every year due to domestic violence too. And then you leverage everything that you have on your side. Any major achievements that you've made as an organization, keep plugging those to them every single time you talk about it. Media support you've got, expertise, that was our big thing. We are a doctor group, 350 strong, right? We have so many people who are experts on this issue, and we have powerful allies in Dharamshala and other people as well that we also added in. And because of that, we got numerous papers. We got the Daily Telegraph, we got SMH, we got a few people coming to the event on that night. Remember, this is 2 hours after I just joined this. We managed to get that going. Now, in terms of how to email people, there are mass emailing apps out there, right? And first off, read up the laws. You don't want to be spamming people. You don't want to be, you don't want to have your accounts deregistered or anything like that. But you can do business proposals. This is just general advice. Look this up in detail before you do any of these things. But also personalize them. Use those mass emailing apps to find someone's first name or last name, the organization that they work in, and add that into the email so it doesn't make it look like you're just emailing 100 different people, something that journalists will then get turned off by, right? Key to this is making the title really, really punchy and stand out, right? So we made it the national vigil, run by 350 plus doctors on domestic violence for murdered colleague, which makes it even more personal, something that they want to come out and talk to us about. And that's something that we made our title, something that'll stand out in their press, in their inboxes, instead of just, we're running a vigil for Dr. Prithvi Reed. Pay 10 to 15 bucks for that auto follow-up feature. That's really, really good. After a few days after you've made this pitch, you can then go on and talk about how, how the event went, first off. But secondly, if they don't open up that first time, which they often won't, remember they get hundreds of emails, you emailing them a second time, that'll get back to the top of their inbox. That'll get you there. And then it's okay to re-email these guys, but usually do it after a few weeks, not on the same campaign or story, or even if it is, make sure you have an update on it to show that you've made some progress. And that's actually really good to do, because then if you have done something cool, right? If you're running a vampire cup campaign, you've gotten, a 400% increase in people donating from last year, whatever thing that you're doing, make sure you boast about that in the next email, or your first one, whatever you do. Email lists, this is how you construct them. try and make it as organized as possible. You don't want to be emailing, first off, journalists from, newspapers. It's not easy to make these lists, which is why instead of actually going out and looking up every single journalist's name and email and stuff like that, what I do instead is I took a step back and I'm like, look, let's look for, there must be an app for this out there, right? There must be someone doing this for you. And then when I did do that, instead of spending hours scrolling through people's pages looking for emails that they want to keep hidden, I found a guy on People Per Hour, right? There's sites like Freelancer, Upwork, you may have heard of them. Basically, people in developing countries, they need the cash, they've got these apps which troll through email lists, which troll through the internet and find these leads for you, and then they'll literally just do it for $10 for 100 emails. That $10 means a lot to them. They've got apps that do things, so I'm not like, a slaver by any means by doing this. And that he can create email lists for me for whatever I need, not just for journalists in this case, but also for business leads, for all the aged care contacts that I need for my business, right? Instead of spending hours of my time doing that, I give him $10 because I think my time is a little bit more valuable than that, and it gets it done in the same amount of time. Now, another big tool that you have when you're talking to journalists in particular is Twitter. Now, they're all on that. So what you do, find an article, right, about your subject, literally Google their Twitter name, go to their profile, tweet them something, not exactly this, add hashtags, add a link to your press release, tweet them, use their handle first. So if you say @that person, it actually doesn't go to your profile, it actually goes directly to them, so they don't know that you've just tweeted this out to 60 journalists. And then what you do next is you hit their following button and you go to all the related pages of suggested other people in that space. Screen them, you'll find that that lady, she was probably not the right person because she talked about politics. This lady, she talks about Nauru, she talks about social justice issues, she talked about feminism. That's someone I want to tweet. And then you just keep repeating this over and over, right? You see how many tabs I open there? 10? You can tweet 60 journalists in about 10 minutes. It's that simple to do. And through this, we got to Times of India, we got to SBS Online, we got to ABC Online. Remember, this is just 4 hours now after I started this campaign. They were all going to be going to that vigil. Emails and Twitter, they're great. But another thing you got to do is call people up, especially TV news. If you want to get them up, just 5 or 6 calls from us. That's what got us TV coverage, right? And that's what got us TV coverage from not just one, but all Australian major TV outlets except for the ABC, which is weird because that's the one you'd think you'd be there for this kind of event. And again, in just one day, that was before 5 p.m. I started working on this at 10 a.m. on that day, right? When you call them up, don't bother trying to pitch to the guy who's at reception. Tell them, hey, this is what we're doing. Can we get to newsroom? Can we get to the news desk? And they'll put you straight through. That's when you have a 20-second pitch about why your organization is cool, what you guys are doing. You have that ready to speak to them. They'll sometimes put you directly onto a reporter. They'll sometimes put you onto the cameramen who go out, and they'll put you straight through. And that's how you get your message out there. Now, this all led to some amazing things happening for this organization. So Doctors Against Violence Towards Women, they're on national news because of this. This opened up us getting contacted by politicians, deep relationships with journalists we continue to speak to. Those politicians, by the way, I won't name them, but let's say they're in the top 5 of all the major parties in Australia, so now we can make a huge difference. They had some programs they were working on, trying to get some funding for some trauma centers opened and things like that that all built momentum with. They didn't have a Facebook page when I started, they didn't have a website, but it led to us getting 700 likes in a couple of days. 80 newsletter signups. They are really, really good because they are people who are really keen on what you guys are doing, who will read up on what you guys are doing and back your things forward. And they also got us 50 or 60 extra members who are all doctors, by the way, in just a few weeks. Now, a combo of this and our contacts has led us to get to those power brokers, and we're using similar tactics again to get us onto news again. And this time, this is for other things. So we're going to be on BuzzFeed soon, Pro Bono Australia, ABC Radio has a founder, spokesperson talking regularly. And yeah, that's stuff that I used in my startup as well. Yes, we had some awesome stories for my startup, also for this organization, but you know what? There's other ways that you can growth hack anything that you're trying to do and use media to do it as well. If you're a vegan, you can go and throw carrots and lettuce at KFC goers. That was something that happened. You can block off a city's major infrastructure and transport. Or if you don't want to be a dick, you don't want to go to jail, just throw up a quick page on your website with a clickbait title like "Vegans eat raw vegetables at a barbecue event" with a funny photo, share it in a few Facebook groups, and go just as viral. If you're doing a competition for a blood drive, tell them about this handsome med student, ex-cancer patient who's been helping to drive the movement, and maybe you can get that on the news as well. And then spreading your event, getting people to there. Instagram's another great way to do this. You have some hashtags. You have places that you can look up. Now find those influencers who have between 10 to 100K people. If you go too high, probably not going to get a response from them, because again, these guys get thousands of emails. But then pitch to them. Simple little one like that over there on the left. Or wait, yeah, on the left for you guys. That's all we told them. And we got 4 or 5 people to share. 2 of them actually came out, and that got us to hundreds of people. Look for the right audiences. So you got your Facebook groups. We actually contacted a few of the UCIT, UNSW med groups and societies. We simply go to Facebook, look up whatever you're looking for, and then go to this tab, groups, and then first off, join those groups, make a post. Don't be spammy, right? Otherwise, people just won't respond and they'll hate you. Instead, go and speak to their admins, right? Send them a message, and then they'll post it up in the group for you if it's a cool event, right? So we did that. We got a few people coming from med schools, from feminist societies, and we got that happening too. And the event itself, we picked a central place, town hall, and then we set up everything in advance. We made sure that we had posters. We had people, coming, just walking down the street, coming into our event as well. We only had 2 people on the ground to start, but then we had volunteers at the event itself. And all of this made one of the most amazing nights happen in my life. It made such an impact, and now this group is doing so much more as well. Now quickly, I'm going to go into my personal brand and Facebook, social media, how to hack that. So I started writing in 2014, got a few 100K views on my blog, just because it's an awesome blog, you should all read it. But over years of doing this, I was making an impact, but I only had 850 likes on Facebook. I wasn't really getting that many views off that platform. I was reaching people, I was making a difference, I was getting emails, talking to people, but I'd stagnated. So what I did was I started going and growth hacking social media, right? This is what I get on my Facebook page right now. $0 in ad spending. I get 70K impressions, I get 4,000 post engagements, I get 30 to 50K click views to my website every single month, right? That's an average week for me, right? And that's with $0 paid reach. Look at the page insights that you have on your page, right? And you want to hack the algorithm. Facebook, what it does, it sends messages out to your first 10% of your followers, and it sees how people engage with it. If you get likes in that early process, it will send it out to 20 or 30%, and it'll keep going from there, right? So you want to make sure you like your post, you get your friends to like your post. You want to make sure that you have something engaging that will make people want to react and comment to it. And then that's how you get it going out there. You want to post at the right times every day as well, right? This is another key thing. What kind of posts get to the most people? Now, have a look at the ones that have gotten 25K views, 10K views, 13K views, and look what they are. Images, right? Links on Facebook, unfortunately, even though they're probably my best things, right? My blogs, they don't get as many views. Why? Because they're not shareable. The key to Facebook is shareable content. When you go on Facebook, just take a step back and think about it, right? You're going to see an article, if it's got a clickbaity title, there's a 10% chance that you're actually going to go read that article, right? But you might share it if it's got a clickbait title. That's cool. But when you share a photo from a page, when you share a video from a page, that actually has the page's link to it. So anyone who engages with that post, they'll be able to get to you. They'll be able to follow you. That's what drives growth most. These are the clicks that you get through from there, right? As you can see, this is like one meme that I put up, right? And I always put a link to something that it doesn't even, like, how does that relate? It's a dad jokes blog that I did, essentially just stupid shit my dad says, right? And it got 100 clicks from like 400 total post clicks to my page just by having that and having a funny damn meme that I just saw and saved on my phone. You're doing it anyway. May as well make it work for you, you know? Same thing with videos. I'd have a look at this one. This is flu vaccine. I did a video on that sort of thing, right? And this is one of my most viewed videos. Guess why it got viewed? It's because it's got some controversy behind it. Anti-vaxxers got on this page. And then I posted it to my pro-vax, pro-science groups, and guess what? We had a war going. We got some information spread. There was a bit of harm done, I think, a bit of psychological trauma on both sides. But in the end, we may have converted a couple of anti-vaxxers, but we got the message out there to a lot more people, right? And that's how we got that out there. Humor, controversy, and sex, if you've got it, sells, right? Use that. I've clearly got the last of those, right? But what if you've got no limited followers, you don't have friends either? How do you get your stuff up there? Hit up Facebook groups. Like I told you before, right? Facebook groups, the reason why they're so cool is unlike pages or personal profiles, they're not limited by how many people they go out to. They get shared into a group of thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of people who are all interested in what you do, right? Don't spam them, right? Don't just put up a link to your GoFundMe. Engage, post relevant memes, content, links, interact with the posts, get people going. And if you do things like this, you get a lot of reactions. You also get your page linked to it too. If you've linked something from your page, if you do something like this, trying to get people to like your page, you're going to get no reactions in like 5 or 6 days, right? That's the difference. You've got to make it engaging. And this, you can also always just get shared on subtle curry traits. And going viral is just another way that you can do things as well to make things go a lot faster. That's something that I'm going to be working on too, just experimenting with that. I'm not perfect at this. I'm still learning myself. But Instagram. Now this is where hashtags are really good. Now look at that on the side over there. You get notifications about hashtags if you like posts that have certain things common about them, right? So spoonies, that's a term for chronic illness people. I like a lot of chronic illness blogs because I have chronic illnesses. That gets notified to me. So I get the top post from that in my newsfeed. Use those hashtags and you'll be on those 1.8 million following things and you'll be showing your thing to random people as well. Get your things shared by pages. This is one, if you guys want to make your own personal brand, start their lifestyle, they're literally looking for people to post stuff about med school, to post things about them being doctors. Look at that post, it got 5,000 likes, right? I shared one of my stories to them, like this message about how doctors can always make a difference, and guess what? That got me like 300, 400 likes. Quick word about branding strategy. With an organization, you've got to be a bit more careful, a bit more, you've got to think deeply about this before you go out. You've got to think, hey, I am a medical student, maybe I should be a little bit less memey, a little bit more, sciencey and all that kind of stuff. With a brand though, you've got to make sure you don't turn off the right people. So you've got to make sure you get that right. You've got to think deeply. And with startups, now that's a science in and of itself too. So this is a little product video on what we're doing. Essentially we've got this device which converts any bed into a hospital bed for just $110 cost, right? So that in and of itself is something that's pretty cool. Hospital beds, we know that they reduce rates of falls by 30%, time spent in hospital goes down by 35% if you've got pneumonia, but it's the sensors underneath which are really, really cool because what they do is they map people's movement. They can map pressure sores, falls, they can alert nurses, loved ones if these things happen, and they'll get the word out to doctors, and they'll also assist doctors in reducing their time spent on these issues as well. They'll alert you, they'll also allow you to be monitoring your patients at home. Our devices are really, really affordable, right? So that's where we want to go, where 90% of people who are elderly and disabled actually live. So that's my startup in a few words. If you guys want to do something like that, right? First off, my suggestion is to first off, validate your problem, right? Validate, you may have some assumptions. You may think, hey, this is something cool that we can do, let's do it. But before you even start, remember, it's going to be 5 to 7 years that you might have to put into this thing. Look at how big the market is. Look at your competitors, what they're doing. Look at the regulatory landscapes, patenting, how you're going to make money. Start thinking about these things. You might not know that as medical students, but YouTube has all of this information in like a little blog. Go read blogs of other startup founders, literally email them and just ask for a coffee, right? Me chatting to a few founders, that got me started. That changed the way my whole business went. Me talking, right? We started actually with trying to make this all-inclusive hospital bed that would fix things forever because it had all these extra features. But then we realized we were going to go up against these really, really consolidated, really, really solid competitors who were working in a $7 billion space. Big market, right? But it's not huge. Why go to them and try and fix a problem that they were already solving really, really well with a huge, 1,000 people companies, when we can go to somewhere that was underserved, right? Just elderly populations, nursing, home care. We could provide them with a solution that they currently weren't getting, an affordable one. That market is $400 billion. Home care alone is worth $250 billion. Why not design something for them? That's when we pivoted, we changed our business, we changed our product. We created this smart inclining bed instead. And then we also made it something that people are really, really keen on by giving it that upside. And this is something we realized from pitching to investors. We pitched to a lot of people. And we realized that what really got them perked up, yeah, we had a cool product. Yeah, it could do these awesome things. But when we talked about the app, the machine learning behind this, the way that this could scale in the future, that you could connect, heart rate monitors, smartwatches, other things to that, and get a multitude of health data that could actually inform doctors of how their patients were at any point in time, that's when their ears really picked up. Because when you're investing in a startup, you're not trying to make a few hundred K, you're trying to make $1 billion, right? It's a very risky investment. You're going into this new market, right, with this new product that you've never seen before. You want to make it something that's worth their while. How do you do that? You give it upside. And then it's all a science as well, right? Before you go out there, read the literature, find out your problem, go and talk to people. The reason why we actually changed our product in the first place was because we went and talked to nursing homes. We called up literally 50 of them, and we were like, you know what do you guys need? And then we realized that, hey, the bed is pretty cool. Even our smaller bed that is affordable is pretty cool and something that they want, but it's actually pressure sores, fall detection, things that they currently didn't have that made us look deeper into that problem. And we realized that we could do it a lot cheaper. Our pressure sensor detector does it for a few $100. We used technology that was already out there but being used for other devices. We put it into this, something a bed sensor could do. And that's made us now, I won't say how many million, but it's valued us at that point. But we want to actually get valued at more, so when our first raise comes up, we raise a couple million rather than just one. And that's what we're doing at Get to Sleep Easy. Again, it's all been a science. We're still learning, but that's how you do that. I really encourage you guys to go out there. Even if you don't have to put in a lot of money, you don't have to become a poker pro and put all your capital into that like I did, right? Go and join hackathons. Go to startup events, go to meetups. Go and learn about these things, see if they interest you. They might not, right? That's cool too. But you'll get a lot of skills out of this if you guys think outside the box. And hopefully I've given you some things to think about today. Now, if you guys want to get in touch, that's me. All my details are there. And yeah, how much time do we have? Is there any time for questions? No? All right, it's been a standard lecture then. Self-directed learning from now on. Alrighty, thanks guys. Sorry if I've kept you too long. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.